Friday because that was made for Big Sills. Shit like this, man, I was made for this. All right. Let's bring in our friend Zander Krause, the co-host of Birds 365, each and every single Monday through Friday, right here on JAKIB Sports. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, Big Sills? How you doing?
All good. Let me read this, Sills. Long as we don't have a coach that has some say, we won't win again. No way. The bill was coming here. Okay. All right, Zander. You tell me, man. Dramaville as the Eagle world turns. How have you handled these last 4 days?
It's June, Big Sills.
Oh, it's June.
It's June.
It's June, and they haven't resolved their meltdown from last year.
I don't make that big of a deal of it. I really don't. I think it's problematic, but what are you going to do? They kept Nick. Jalen doesn't like that they kept Nick, and it could be a problematic. It could also not matter when we're winning games in September.
It mattered last year. Why wouldn't it matter this year?
Well,
here, let me go through the chronological part of this here. So, Jeff McClain, and just so you know, watch this. Jeff McClain and I don't get along. Is that correct?
Yeah, you guys do not. For anybody that wants to know the backstory of that, yeah. Big Sills and Jeff McClain aren't buddy-buddy.
That's in quotes, just to keep it real here. Remember, I'm not paraphrasing this here, so because I didn't paraphrase anyway.
Is my mic all right, Sills? Somebody said my mic's loud.
No, your mic is beautiful, dog.
All right, cool.
Yeah, because no one wants to hear what you're going to say here, but I do.
All
right, so comes out and the first thing goes, yeah, we're a little bit perturbed. And this is Jeff McClain, organization. You know, it's Howie and the owner are upset that how Jaylen Hurts has handled Nick Sirianni publicly.
I would be.
Your take is what? Not a big thing?
Well, I would be too if I were the owner of a team and I paid a dude $55 million and he made my organization look like shit. But that doesn't address the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is still Nick Sirianni. But, I mean, how much are we really going to make of press conference comments in June? That's my problem with this.
The organization made an issue out of it. They followed up.
Really. The organization is trying to correct the narrative that they see is going to run for 7 weeks straight.
Okay.
And potentially longer.
Why did they just, if it's a nothing burger, why comment at all?
Because they got to quiet the noise. It's the same way they had Jalen come back out and march back his comments in the season.
You're really telling me a head coach and a quarterback? How about this one? I personally think now that maybe there was a conversation that he was shocked he came back and didn't want him in the building.
I think that's plausible. I think that's more plausible than not. But what are you going to do? Jalen doesn't make that decision.
No, so what he does is he just takes a shit on him in public.
Yeah, and it was stupid. I thought it was stupid.
Why? Hey, can I tell you what I really think the problem with Hurts is? He refuses to lie for them. Oh, Nick's great. He's going to oversee everything. He's going to be the architect over the architect of how we're going to put this together. Hey, it's kumbaya. We're all in this thing. We're rowing. Hurts ain't doing any of that shit.
No, he's not. But he also he's not notorious for speaking a lot at press conferences or giving a lot of great answers. I mean, he clearly avoided this question, which is cause for concern to some extent. But is this overblown because we're in June? 100%.
See this, folks? Watch this one here. Remember, when Big Sil speaks in the offseason, I validate my comments in the fall. And this will all come back again. You watch, because it has. Hey, Britton Covey, you can kiss my ass too about your boy in the locker room, because it looks like now me and Barrett were saying the things that were in that locker room. Now, how about Howard Eskin coming out going, no, the offense is not 95% new. It's about 19 to 20%. This guy's the mouthpiece of the Philadelphia. He's hired by the Eagles, not IP. He's a sideline reporter for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think they're trying to manage that narrative, but somebody said it in here right. it probably is 95% different to Jaylen Hurts, where they're making him do different things. There's less running. There's more throwing over the middle, third options. I forget who put that in the chat. Somebody put it in the chat. Chat's going crazy today. They're cracking me up in the back end. These guys are nuts in the chat. I love them. But yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? We're not going to know until we're on the field. If it's 95% new, isn't that a good thing? The offense stunk out loud last year at the end of the year. They were still the 8th ranked offense in the league. So, I mean, what are we going to do? You want me to sit here and cry about it?
No. I want you to see how this whole thing, because of Nick and the cancer still being in the body, is still resonating from last year. Do you think any of this shit goes on, or any of the narratives go on, or the Eagles have to clean some shit up if Nick's not here?
What are you asking?
If Nick's not here, none of this is being brought up.
Well, no, because it's a different conversation if Nick's not here.
But it sounds to me like the 23, what happened in 23 at the end of the meltdown? What if they addressed? Now you got it seems to me that quarterback does not like that guy at all.
I agree. But does that matter?
What's that matter? Okay.
I know it's you want your quarterback and your head coach on the same page. But if Nick has no say in the offense anymore, I don't give a fuck.
Okay. Fair enough. Do you think Belichick and Brady liked one another?
No, and it didn't. Well, I don't think they liked each other. I think
But you know what Brady never did?
They had respect.
Brady never was public about Belichick and I don't know what Bill's role is on offense, and I don't know any of these other things. He never came out negative against the organization ever in 20 years up there.
Yeah, and Jalen's got to learn that. And that's part of the Phil Sims comment. No, it wasn't Phil Sims. Boomer Esiason. You got to play to the contract. Right? Like these are responsibilities on you as the highest paid. Nobody in that organization, not Howie, Nick, anybody makes more money than Jeffrey Lurie. Jaylen Hurts is making Jeffrey Lurie's team not look great. That's not a good look for the quarterback. I think it's a worse look on Jalen Hurts than it is on Nick Sirianni, to be honest with you. Because I think it shows some of the problems that people have discussed about Jalen Hurts' leadership. And now you have an easy chance to just go in a break, put your sails up, cruise off into the sunset for 7 weeks, get this show back on the road in 7 weeks. And he didn't do it at all. I'm more concerned about Jalen Hurts than I am about Nick Sirianni in this regard.
Sills, I've been a fan of the show when it was you and Barrett Brooks and Zander was producing. Never missed a show. Keep up the excellent work. We appreciate you very much. So
that's love right there, man. That was 3 years ago when you and Barrett were doing the show together for a little bit.
Hey Barrett, where does he still work? I haven't heard. Anyway,
Barrett's not allowed on JAKIB anymore. NBC has put the kibosh on JAKIB. Now we are making too much noise, and they can't have an Eagle paid person because NBC is in contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. For those who do not know that, the NBC is the official television provider for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're not going to let one of their guys come on here and bash the Eagles like we do on this show. And we don't bash the Eagles. We call out what we see as truth. Dan has his opinion, which he is entitled to. I have mine, and I'm not going to hide from that. We're not going to not air that. So that's why Barrett is no longer here, because we get a lot of chats about that, Dan. Whereas
I'm sure you do. I get
Barrett's not allowed on here anymore.
Barrett was
a lot of people in Philly aren't allowed on here anymore. Howard Eskin, he used to come
all
on
the
this
WIP and Odyssey people are not allowed on.
Yeah.
Hurts is tired of the BS and his expression shows. I agree with you. And I think that's what Angelo's going to say at 5:30.
Friendly Goated. Is he afraid of a different opinion? Are you such a small mind that you can't handle that somebody else has a different opinion than you? That's not my problem, brother. That's your problem. I don't know what you're
that's a you thing, dude.
Yeah, that's a you thing. I don't know what you want me to say.
Hey, as a matter of fact, we welcome everyone else's opinions, man.
We absolutely do.
I've never shied away from people coming on this
program. It's like people emailing me, why don't I fire Dan Sileo? Because I don't agree with everything he says. You think I agree with everything you've said in the last 3 years?
Not.
No, it's a good show. You're entitled to your opinion, as we all are. That's what creates conversation. We're talking about sports here, guys. We're not talking about things that are changing the world. We're talking about a sports team. Come on.
Merrill Reese comes on.
Bit in there.
Merrill Reese comes on.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're letting him, by the way.
So what? You think Bob's going to go over to him and go, "Hey,
Yeah,
Merrill, I don't want."
well, every time Merrill, you respect Merrill, which
I
is the
do.
right thing to do. So you allow Merrill
I do.
to
I
talk
do.
what Merrill's going to say,
And
and we all
plus
know
I know
Merrill.
what I'm
Yeah,
talking to because he is part of the broadcast team, and you have to know that angle that he's not going to sit here and he's going to sit there and go, "Hey, Jalen, man, that was a really shitty comment you made publicly." He's not going to say that, He's going to go out, there's no issue, but that's okay. Because I'll tell you what, one thing I do dig about Merrill Reese and Mike Quick, if you listen to them during the broadcast, they're not shy about criticism.
yeah, that's true. They will call it how
Dude,
they
they're
see
more
it during the
critical
game.
on the broadcast than they are when they do interviews.
Yeah, they are. They're great broadcasters.
Yep.
We talked about this last week because Merrill won that award from the Pro Football Hall of Fame,
Yep,
which is
the Roselle Award.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, Merrill's the man. He does a great job calling the game, and I'm happy he still comes on. I can't wait to get him on again. For you to get him on again after, so we can give him his congratulations on our network.
How about this comment? Marcus Hayes and other folks are saying that the reason that Reddick is not on the team is because there was a conflict after the addressing of the sidelines when Sirianni went over to Reddick and they had that back and forth, went into the office and didn't like the way he was being used. And when the offseason came around, the agent and the player wanted to know how he was going to be used. So instead, what they did was, because it was between Nick and Reddick, not Vic and Reddick, on the personal relationship. And this is just my opinion on Vic. Vic probably said, "Don't worry about it. I can make it work without him." And so to me, that's how they moved off.
I don't know about the thing with Nick. I mean, I could see that though, because John says Nick is kind of fiery at practice, and Hassan did have, there was some documented moments of him last year getting more and more agitated. And then you remember that report after the season, like a couple weeks after the season came out, and they're like,
how about in game when he went after him a little bit and said some shit? I think he jumped off sides or something.
Yeah, right. And even after the season, when people were like, "Oh, the Eagles coaches were upset with Hassan Reddick for being undisciplined and rushing the passer," or whatever it was. It was a weird story, but it came out. And if you do follow the tea leaves on Hassan Reddick, it's definitely plausible that him and Nick did not like each other. And boy, this organization's they're really riding for Nick Sirianni. I mean, it doesn't look like it when you look at it from the perspective of they are taking away some of his powers. But at the end of the day, I mean, Jaylen Hurts seems like he doesn't really like the guy. They still stuck with Nick. All the things that happened, and they still keep putting Nick out there. They must like something about him, or Nick has something on him or something, because they're rocking with him. I mean, I'm all right with it if he gets out of the way, like you said in your how the Eagles get back to the Super Bowl.
How about this? To me, sometimes it just seems that the Eagles would rather lose looking good and are upset when they win looking bad.
Well, that's a tale. That's been happening in Philadelphia for a long time. You remember when Doug Peterson went to Lambeau Field when Aaron Rodgers was still playing prime football in Green Bay? The Eagles win a nail biter. It was a low-scoring game,
like 1917, something like that.
And the Tuesday meeting, the famous Tuesday meeting of, Jeffrey Lurie telling Doug Peterson, "What the heck was that? That's not how I want to win games."
At Lambeau, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
You win at Lambeau versus Aaron Rodgers, and you're asked why you won the way you won. Which is what, it's funny because, like, let's just assume that that's 100% true, which I think it is. Most people have corroborated that report. Why the hell do the Eagles continue to go for? I don't have a problem with the other style of quarterback where they're run first, they're athletes, they're good, they're dual threat, as you like to say. But why do the Eagles keep going that route if all they care about is passing the football? It doesn't make sense to me. That's why they keep trying to turn these quarterbacks into something they are not.
They even did it to Wentz. They stopped him from running. After he got hurt,
Wentz had a litany of his own problems, honestly. But
look, his are more up above the shoulder pads. But I'm talking about after LA, they never played him the same. They never played Wentz the same.
Well, LA's where he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
LA. Yeah. Well, he didn't play the rest of that year, obviously. But after that, you're right. They did change the way they played him for sure.
Yeah, and he never had the talent around him that Hurts has had.
No. People forget about that when you compare quarterback. Not a single quarterback in Eagles history has had this type of talent. None of them.
Not even Randall.
Not Randall, not Donovan, not Mike Vick, none of them. So this is the best job. This is the best work Howie's ever done in his career. Whether you love Howie or hate Howie, this is the best team he has assembled this last couple years stretch, this new era that he's
Last 3
created.
years.
Yeah. And what seems to be like it could continue for the next couple years. So if we don't get a Super Bowl out of this, I mean, shit. Who are you pointing the finger at?
Him.
Nick or Jalen?
Howie. What did it get you?
Howie can't play the game.
Wait a minute. What's it get you? Because you're not.
Yeah, but Howie can't play the games, right? Like, what's the best case scenario you can ask of a GM?
Get out of the way. Game day.
Yeah, but no. You're deeper. What's the number one thing you can ask of your GM?
To put a quality football team together for me every year.
And he's doing that. Would you agree?
Yes.
To a certain extent, the team is good enough. Now, I know that we have problems on defense, but look around the NFL, man. Every team, every team has problems somewhere. So,
but it's got to have a cutoff. And I mean by this, okay, you're right. A general manager's responsibility is to go out and find the right personnel for your head coach, not find the right coach and the fucking personnel to fit what you want. That's not how you build a team. Do you know that Bill Polian, when he hired Tony Dungy's been on our network. Tony Dungy said something. I said, Coach, what was the number one thing Bill Polian, who's a Hall of Fame general manager now in the NFL, what was the number one thing he said? He goes, what type of player defines Tony Dungy, and what type of player do you want on the team? It wasn't what Howie wanted or what Bill wanted. It was what Tony wanted. And I think they lose sight of that sometimes with the coach. Like, there's no way Nick has any say. Now, he may have that Quinton Mitchell thing because he went to school with the coach in Toledo. They were roommates in college at Fork Union or whatever the hell they were. So they were like teammates. So there could have been some insight there. But Zander, I've never seen anything. There's two things you guys said on Birds 365. First and foremost, do you think the number one reason that they protect Nick so much, that this comes down to something you said about 3 weeks ago? And bro, I thought it was bullshit what you said. I thought it was stupid. Then I'm going like this. Hang on here. The Chip Kelly collateral damage stuff. I mean,
yeah,
bro, they fall on a hey, they didn't like what Jalen said. Somebody got that out to Jeff. So Jeff reported that.
That's how the Eagles work. Most people don't know that behind the scenes how they work. That is 100% how they work. The Eagles they leak out the perfect information that they want, and they use certain people to do it. So it's definitely interesting. I mean, I think Nick is more about protecting themselves though than it is about protecting Nick. Because if you fire Nick with the success that he's had, whether you believe it's you or not, eventually you're going to get to a point where you just look like a dysfunctional organization, even when the Eagles are not. I mean, look, there's a lot of criticisms you can have on the Eagles. They're not dysfunctional. They are a competing organization. We are not the Panthers. We are not one of these organizations that are bottom feeders every single year. But it would look terrible if they fired Nick right now. It would have looked terrible if they fired him last year. And they know that. And I think that's why they're trying to, prop him up in their own kind of way and ride with it. But the weird thing is they have been inconsistent all off season, right? Like Nick was saying at first, it was the meshing of the offenses. There's been no clear message from the front office to the quarterback to the head coach. There's been no
direction,
togetherness, right? Like exactly. No direction of the team. And I think that's a problem. But my biggest takeaway from the comments are still on Jaylen Hurts. Like, I don't even, what are we going to cry about Nick Sirianni that he's not getting along with Jaylen Hurts? Like, we know he struggled last year. We know. I'm not going to beat the dead horse. But what we learned from the comments is that Jaylen is struggling to take the leadership role, even when it's given to him, presented to him on a silver platter. That is potentially troublesome.
Let me say something positive about Nick. You brought up John McMullen's column that he wrote about the political aspect
coach,
of Nick Sirianni. Zander, I don't think it's about stepping away from play calling. I think it's stepping further away from Hurts. And I mean like this. Hey, if this guy's got a problem with me, I'll tell you what I'll do. Because he even said it when he was he goes, I don't talk to Jalen as much as I have in the past. I'm over on the defense. And he came up with those bullshit things with Milton Williams and all that. Maybe what he's decided to do and the organization has decided to do, if Hurts has a problem with him, that's a smart thing to do if you're a coach. Well, let's bring a coordinator in. Let's put a guy in the building and try to give him somebody that maybe he's going to have a better communication. Now, to me, I'm starting to agree with you on this here. Well, that's a Hurts thing. He's got to be wanting to be coached by the people that they're putting in front of him. This isn't college, Zander, where you have all these coaches like that. You're in an organization and you make $50 million. You've got to sink or swim with those guys like you did with Brian Johnson last year. You can't pick and choose. Or if you want to pick and choose, this is maybe why they don't really like each other, is because he didn't want him in that building. There's really a problem with those two guys, in my opinion. It's bigger than what people are thinking.
There's a chance that Nick Sirianni's actually playing his cards right here.
Right. That's what I mean.
Not for the Philadelphia Eagles, personally. But also, yes. I would say this to you. On the same breath of trying to distance himself from the quarterback, what about distancing himself from the front office? What about showing if Nick failed this year and he didn't give up reins of the offense, he was going to get fired.
So you think it gives him an off-ramp?
If Nick gives up reins of the offense and they fail, he's getting fired anyway. So both, if the team is not successful this year, Nick is gone no matter what. And then if he was still calling the offense, you could argue the pressure would be greater because now he needs to show that he still has the offensive pedigree. He brought in Kellen Moore, and now Nick can kind of go wipe his hands of what's happening on the offense. He's the one who's got a 34-17 record as a head coach. He's the one who went to a Super Bowl in his second year as a head coach. Now he can say, if the team has success, Nick's not going anywhere because he was a better CEO head coach. Now, you might lose Kellen. We've talked about that in the past. I don't think they're going to get rid of Nick Sirianni if they have a successful year. So he potentially created an off-ramp where he can stay in Philadelphia or an explanation for the next team that wants to hire him.
Because then he can show you that he works with analytics and he can knows how to work with the front office.
Coordinators. I have my
Which
own,
is today's NFL coach.
The whole 9 yards, where he can work with a coordinator, work with an offensive mind, all these things. So I think Nick's operating in his best interest. I don't have a problem with that, by the way.
How about this? I would say that Nick probably is more hireable than Belichick at 73. With today's NFL front offices. Yeah. Okay. Well, if he goes to another playoff again 4 years in a row, dude, people are not, they're just not going to not interview him.
Well, and Nick and the toughest part about Bill Belichick is he's as old as the Eagles owner.
And the money.
Well, yeah, but how long are you going to have that guy? He's 73.
Oh, yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years max. So there's no sort of continuity there. Like if there was a situation where there's like a Brady in going to the Bucs, where it's not a long window, that's where a Bill Belichick would work. Like I could see him working in New York with the Jets.
With the Giants.
No. With the Jets.
Because of Aaron?
Aaron's got a couple years left. Let's get the right coach in here, and let's see if we can make a run here. We got 2-3 years in window here.
You think the Jets would want to roll back over that with him again after that whole disaster that they had with hiring him, and then he quit the job and then went up to New England? I don't know, man. That'd be a lot of mending of fences here. Let me ask you something else here. Has the money changed Hurts?
Certainly looks like it from my perspective. I mean, before he was all about keep the main thing the main thing. I'm focused on what matters, football, all these things. And now, I mean, I've definitely gotten a different vibe coming out of him in the organization. It feels like it's a my way or the highway. I'm beating to my drum type of thing. And I don't think it's a good thing. I mean, I don't want to go as far as to say the money changed them, but it certainly looks like it, right? I mean, how do we know, though? How will we know?
How about this? Do you think the money has made him more, as we were saying with Barrett, less accessible to everyone else in the locker room? He maybe hasn't changed, but maybe what the Eagles have done has made him less accessible.
Yeah, which
could give the perception of him being different.
Boy, Britton Covey, he was hopping like a bunny to walk that thing back, man, when the Eagles PR called him. But yeah, he said what he said, and he's right. I mean, Jaylen Hurts is definitely less successful. Remember also all the things he did last year once he got that bag of money. He did the commercial. He was in that dumb show. I'm like, what are you in a show for? Like, I don't care, bro. Be in a show when you're 40, when you're done and you're a Super Bowl champion. Don't go in a show now. But he did all that, and he's entitled to do it. I'm not, the person's entitled to make their own decisions, but I'm here to analyze how it affected the football team. It certainly looks like it did change him, and it didn't help. I mean, he's making big coin, and he's not really leading the franchise like he's making that big.
No, he's not leaning into being an Eagle right now.
Agreed.
Appreciate this, Bob. Here we go. You can win and still be dysfunctional. You can. You can't have sustained success and be dysfunctional. This team has organizational Asperger's, and something is just off. They can't or won't fix it. It's control, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Bob, it's got to do with control. Okay? I mean, remember what I told you? What do you think the most important thing is to Jeffrey Lurie? Control or championships? I think it's control. I do. Do you think Bob Kraft had total control over Bill Belichick? No.
No way.
Do you think the Hunt family?
I think Bob liked it that way.
How about this one? Do you think that the Hunt family have control over Andy Reid?
No, nor do they want him, because they would be foolish to think that they're a better mind than Andy Reid.
Well, then why would the owner want control over Nick?
That's his prerogative. I don't know. He likes it. He has fun, and this is like playing a board game to him. I think. It's his big asset. It grows it by $1 billion a year. As long as
I don't think the York family has control over Kyle Shanahan, and I don't think that Stan Kroenke has total control over Sean McVay. And those guys seem to be the winning coaches today.
And then it's definitely possible that the Chip Kelly remark is more true than ever, right? That was the last coach that they gave full autonomy to. And then you had a guy come in and win the Super Bowl, and then he wanted autonomy. Not even before he won the Super Bowl. We're talking about, I won. I lifted the trophy. You came on the field to confetti. And then now I want control, and they didn't give it to him.
Here's another one. And I liked what you said today, because it's funny how John wouldn't address it when you said this. You don't think Bob Lane came to Jalen and said, hey, you know what? I'd look at Bob Lane and go, fuck you. Don't ever talk to me like that again. Okay? Don't ever talk to me like that again. Howie Roseman had to have had told him that personally, or there's only one other way. Nicole Lynn, Howie called Nicole Lynn, because this is a common thing too.
Yeah,
a general manager will call an agent who they have a great relationship with, and will call him and say, hey, listen, we're a little bit, sideways, not a lot, but we're a little bit upset here with how that thing was handled. And I really don't think Jalen meant anything by it. He don't come off like a liar to me.
Yeah, but somebody there needs to be some adult in Jalen's life that tells him, dude, you got to lead. You have to lead. Even if you don't want to lead, that is not the right way to signal to the organization that you're not with your head coach publicly before a 7-week layoff. I mean, I said it's June, and I still agree with that, where it's like, come on, we're making a big deal out of this, but he still did say it. I mean, he still did choose to go the route he went. I don't know. Maybe you can chalk it up to he was checked out, or you can chalk it up to he's a shitty leader. And that's what it looks like.
It does. Have you changed your opinion on Hurts? Since he signed that contract, have you changed your opinion on him?
Do I think we can win a Super Bowl with him? Yes, I do. Do I think he is... I don't want to say my opinion's changed. No. I think if anything, I feel better than I did when he took over the job. This is before 22, about us going to a Super Bowl with him. I was not really sold that Jalen could do that for this team. Now I've seen it. I've seen when he gets coached right, he can be that guy. Threw for a lot of yards in that Super Bowl. He looked really good. Obviously, the fumble was a big thing, but I'm a believer because I've seen it, right? It's not, you're not asking me to believe something I've never seen before. From all the other stuff, all the other intangibles we've talked about, right? Remember we used to talk about the intangibles and you used to rip on it. When you lead with intangibles, it doesn't. Now I'm questioning them. Like, were they really all they were cracked up to be? Maybe not.
I think what's changed with Hurts since he signed a deal is the way the organization looks at him. I think the way that they look at him has changed. It's almost like they've signed a different guy than what they had and what that guy was. Dude, I'll tell you what. I'll take the 21-20. I'll take 21 over the 2023 season. When they took over from 2-5, they went on that stretch of 7-3, whatever it was. He was almost as good as he was. Now look, the passing, you were playing the Bucs who won a Super Bowl that year. The Super Bowl champion Bucs beat you that year. So we're not talking about a stiff team that beat you, and Brady won his 7th that year. So you had to go to Tampa and play in the place that Brady was going to play the Super Bowl in. That's pretty daunting for a first-year starting quarterback.
No, the Bucs didn't win the Super Bowl that year, though. They won.
Was that the Rams? No, that was the first year, wasn't it?
I thought the Bucs.
I thought
the Bucs beat us.
Didn't the Bucs win it in 21? I thought they won it. Oh no, they
won
it
in the COVID year. Brady's last year.
They won it in the what?
Yeah, the Bucs beat us in the playoffs Brady's last year, and Brady didn't win his last year. He won his second to last year.
No, Brady beat you 31-7.
Yeah, Brady didn't play us on his Super Bowl run. We were 4-11 that year, 4-10 or whatever it was.
No, you weren't. You were 9-8.
No, we weren't. You're a year late.
You're in the playoffs. Aikman called the game, was telling them to throw the damn ball.
Yeah, that was not the year the Bucs won the Super Bowl, is my point.
No, I think you're right. That may have been the Rams year.
That was the Rams year. The Bucs were the year before that. But yeah, but again, anyway, the point applies. I'm nitpicking. But yeah, I mean, what's the question here?
No. What I'm saying is it's the way that they have changed coaching him since they gave him that.
Yeah,
deal.
and they're missing
different.
the guys that they had. They're missing the coach that they had, I think. And Nick Sirianni is trying to figure out how to get back to that formula potentially. And maybe he believes Kellen Moore is his next Shane Steichen who can hate this or who can fix this thing. But I don't know. I don't want to sound the alarm. Like I think Jalen's going to be all right. I mean, I'm not really sure. Well, look,
he sounds it, doesn't he? Hey, and he got big old mouth.
Zander's talking bullshit. Hurts is not my way or the highway. He wasn't. Do you not think, Corey, he has shown some of that now? He just got a chance to tee up to give his coach a bone, and he couldn't do it. $55 million, bro. He's going to be your head coach, whether you like him or not. You got to take that bait. You have to take that bait. He didn't.
And you have to take it for the organization.
Exactly. For the team, for the well-being of the team that you're leading. And he didn't. That is essentially my way or the highway. I'm not saying he's been that way his whole career. Sills asked me if he's changed. I think he's shown some signs of changing. Yes.
More of a malcontent?
No, I don't want to go there. I mean, I
maybe that's too strong a word. How about this? Maybe questioning more moves.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Coordinators, the new offenses, all of that. Because I'll tell you one thing that I hate that he does or doesn't do. He does.
Boy, Jalen's mad about that, bro. I mean,
what?
That is sad.
One thing I can't
imagine being Bryce Young.
What's that?
Imagine being Bryce Young.
Oh my God, terrible.
Imagine being even Trevor Lawrence. Get drafted to Jaylen Hurts was delivered one of the amazing roster. In every single year, he's been a starter. So if he's that upset with the organization that he's letting it show in press conferences, that's ridiculous. They're giving you all-star cast. They traded for your best friend. Made him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. Come on, man. Like, I don't think that's true, though. I really don't.
Hurts dislike Nick because he made Brian look bad.
Well, Brian was bad. Brian didn't help himself either. Brian didn't. One thing, Jason.
Doesn't Jalen make him look bad too?
Jalen made him look terrible.
Right.
especially with the whole Seattle fiasco where you changed the play call. Nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
Sirianni falls on the sword for you guys, and then you don't take any accountability. Meanwhile, AJ did take accountability. Like that proves the point even more.
So you think everything right now is all good, everybody? We're 38
No, I'm
days.
not saying that. I think Nick Sirianni is less qualified to be in this position than Jaylen Hurts is to be the quarterback of the team. But to me, what's happened in the last couple of weeks is more of a reflection on Jaylen Hurts than it is on the head coach. That's what I'm saying.
So you think it does put a spotlight on some of the things that the players like Brandon and Fletcher were saying about the leadership qualities of the player down the stretch this last year, and it's carried over now into the way his mannerisms have been so far this offseason.
Yeah,
Guess what? That's actually a reflection of what happened, and it's still here.
Yeah, and it also is. You are right, though. Maybe it was a shot at the organization. I can disagree and say Jalen shouldn't feel that way, but maybe it was a subtle shot of like
Why'd
kept
you bring him
Nick.
back?
Yeah, I don't know.
He just didn't help.
Whenever I come on here with you, you make me think worse things than I did previously. But you bring up good points. I mean, I'm not saying that you're bringing up good points. It is a problem. It probably is a problem.
Here's what I'm saying. It's like what you said is it's the whole thing. You had a chance. And to me, I really think this thing comes down to him not wanting to play ball. You know how Doug didn't want to play ball? When, he didn't want to play ball with the front office. Doesn't it come off that Jalen doesn't want to play ball? And by the way, Sills makes up gossip. This isn't my reporting. These are not my stories. These are not my stories. Jeff McClain reported on the Discord between the front office being upset with the comments. Howard Eskin was the guy that said that the comments about 95% offense is not true. It's more 20 to 19%. Those are not me. Those are people that are affected and around the team. My problem is that he had a T-ball all lined up to lie, play ball. Nick lies. He wouldn't do it. He just said, I don't know what his role is. And, I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
What kind of shit is that?
You
could have just lied and went, man, he's really, he's been an influence in the locker room. The place looks cooler. We're more in a focus, the details. He refuses to go down that road.
Yo, look at this comment, Dan. I don't want to go here yet, but this is a good point by our man Jameson. Jalen has more TO qualities than AJ Sills.
But they're subtle. He's quiet. He's not an outspoken man. He's always been quiet and stoic. And it served him well at moments, right? It served him well at times. But different times call for different measures. Different times call for you to be a different man, a different leader, a different quarterback, a different player, a different spokesperson for the organization. Shouldn't Jalen have started screaming at 1-7? Somewhere in there? What are we doing? Yeah, he wasn't. He was sulking on the sidelines. And for anybody that wants to get mad at me for criticizing your boy Jaylen Hurts, who I like too, I'm a fan of the team. I grew up a fan of the team. You can get mad at me all you want. I don't give a shit. Go rewatch the Bucs game. He sulked on the sideline, sat like this while his whole team was on the bench, and didn't say a word to anybody. It wasn't a good look. It was a terrible look. And they put up 9 points in the playoff game. Remember, everybody cries about our defense last year. Everybody cries about our defense, how bad our defense was. We put up 9 points versus the Bucs in the playoffs. 9. John said something else. Last thing here. John said something else. He goes like this. By the way, Gary Cobb 4:30 and Angelo Cataldi at 5:30. He goes, it's funny? The offensive run game, I think you said this, O-line and Barkley. Well, the run game's not installed yet. That's going to come in July. AJ looked good. Tight ends look good. Devontae looked good. The only guy that didn't look good was the quarterback. Does that not personify 2023? Everybody was good except the quarterback. Yeah, and
I do think there was a part of it. Maybe Jalen was a little defensive going into that press
Okay.
conference because he knew there was a lot of talk about the offense. And by the way, I think when you zoom out too, you feel the same way. I don't really care that you sucked in helmets and shorts that much.
No.
But when you get defensive about it now, and then you're you're throwing other people under the bus and you're saying 95% new. Meanwhile, there's other reports out there that wasn't. Now you're making me question. It's like the Hassan Reddick deal. First, I'm like, who cares? Howie wanted to move on, didn't want to pay him the money. Then Howie gets defensive at the press conference, and I'm like, oh, wait, maybe you did make a shitty move, and you're trying to cover that up, right? So I think that's a fair point.
T.O. Hurts.
J.O. J.O. Jalen. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. T.O. Hurts. Holy.
Remember, though, Dan, I know you're tough. You're tough on A.J. Brown. He actually is the one. If you go back and look at that timeline, he is the one dude who did take accountability publicly to the media after the layoff. Everybody's beating him up about the 2 weeks off. He's the one who said it. Jaylen Hurts shied away from that all day long. Nick Sirianni took accountability. A.J. Brown took accountability. The quarterback was nowhere to be found. He was giving you Instagram captions in his response, which I don't care for.
I think the player's good. I
know, but I'm also saying you on the other stuff. I think you're wrong on the other stuff too. I don't think A.J. Brown is what you've made him out to be. I think Jameson has a point. I think
what, a diva?
I think Jalen has more diva tendencies that we're starting to see now after he got that contract.
You think this is why he lost his job in Alabama?
No. I think that's completely different. I really do. I think Jalen was a consummate professional at that time in his career. I still think he is, by the way. Some of the stuff he's done has definitely been eyebrow raising.
You know what? If I'm getting $250 million, I'm going to be defensive too. And I'm going to also not show any kind of weakness.
If I get $250 million, I will ride for my team. I will say I will defend my coach.
Would you?
Yes.
If you thought personally that guy was sending you into a rabbit hole or down into a gutter and you're making $250 million, you said something last week to me. You went like this. Sills, you don't think Jalen can make $50 million somewhere else? I go, I do think he can make $50 million.
Publicly or privately, though? You're talking about publicly to the media. You're not talking about inside the walls of the locker room where it's a brotherhood and there's a team and you're the leader of them. That's a different conversation. I'm talking about when you're standing up there and NJ.com or the Delaware News Journal ask you a question to show up for your head coach. If I'm making $50 million, you're damn right I'm doing it. If they decided to keep the guy, whether I liked him or not, I would do it. That would be my perspective.
So you think that was a $50 million mistake when he didn't hit that T-ball?
Well, no, because that money's still hitting his account, isn't it?
Yeah, but part of the reason that you're paid that is because you need to be that too. That's defining of the job. It's not just being good when you feel like being good. You have to be sometimes say shit and do shit that you don't want to do. Like you're saying. Yeah. He refuses to go down that line.
By the way,
that's total job description.
That's true for anybody, and no matter what you
have you ever heard Mahomes or Brady or any of these quarterbacks that are making this money talk shit on their organization? Even after Josh Allen had Ken Dorsey fired, what did he say? Hey, this is my fault. I got the coach fired. I wasn't playing well. This is totally on me. I've never heard him say that. I've never heard him come to a defense of anybody.
No, he
but
doesn't.
Jalen Hurts. Well, it's a new offense. I wish I had new coordinators. I wish I had the same coordinator and continuity in the building. Holy cow. Cry me a river, kid. Jesus Christ.
You saw the report, obviously. It was what you talked about the whole first hour. What do you make of what the front office might be thinking right now?
They're disappointed that he's not – I don't want to use the word lying.
What does disappointed mean, though?
Okay.
Are they wondering right now if the same questions you just asked me?
Yes. Yes. But what they're also doing is this. Is he doing it to be a subversive? Like, is he doing it like Doug fighting them? Like Doug started fighting them? Because I'll tell you one thing that organization doesn't like. They don't like insubordination towards anything, towards what their game plan is. They'll get rid of Wentz, Doug Peterson, Andy Reid, Hassan Reddick. It doesn't matter who it is. They will jettison your ass. And get this, there is a laundry list of graveyard people that they have done that to in the last 5-6 years since the Super Bowl.
Yeah, here's the problem, though. You can't move on. You can't move on from
Jalen. 29.
I think it's earlier than that, but his dead cap hit for 24 is 120. After the season, it's 107 million. Now, 26, it drops to 52, which I guess is possible. I'm not saying they're going to go that route. I'm just saying they're not going to move on from this guy. So they're going to have to manage these tendencies the best they can.
This guy's
the chat is going nuts.
I'm starting to think
they're not happy with us, Dan.
What's that?
The chat is not happy with us.
All I'm saying to you is that I think that T.O. Hurts is I think he's a little sensitive here, man.
T.O. Hurts.
Holy
if you pick up T.O. Hurts, you got to drop A.J.
I think so.
You got to go one or the other. You can't.
No, I think I'm going to leave A.J. Owens alone. And I think I'm going to go and leave A.J. Brown because at least he's good. At least he's good.
A.J. Brown has delivered for this football team.
He has. He has.
I mean, you can argue about guys paying wide receivers and all that, and I get it, but
200 catches.
Yeah, the guys played.
Come on. I mean, by the way, it's probably been the greatest 2 years of receiving in Eagle history. Come on, Jalen.
Our man Flexen just got back in the chat. Flexen, don't be blaming us. Blame Jameson, who brought up that Jaylen Hurts might have more TO tendencies.
T.O. Hurts. T.O. Hurts.
And if Flexen heard the segment, I actually think Flexen would agree with us. He's tough on this team, just like you are, Big Sills. I think Flexen would be like, wait, you guys are making some good points. Jalen Hurts might be a little bit of a TO too. Just a quiet one, like you said. He's a stoic TO, right? He's not the loud TO. He's not the boisterous TO. He's the quiet, stoic, the silent assassin, we could call him. The silent assassin.
Wishbone Hurts. I still dig that too, though, a little bit. All right. So you're all ready to rock and roll going into July 25th training camp, and everything is kumbaya, and the Eagles are ready to rock and roll, and everybody's all in the same.
It don't matter what I think. They better be ready to rock and roll. It sounds like the Eagles inside their organization have far more problems than me and you do sitting here talking about them.
Well, when you meddle in everything, this is what happens to you.
You don't need me to be ready for July 25th. But Jalen Hurts sounds like he needs to have a conversation with that head coach.
The Eagles better be ready for Sills because it's going to get ugly.
Sills is going to be unhinged all year, and everybody's going to be going absolutely crazy about it. And I'm going to be.
I have been vindicated by a lot of people this offseason about how I look at that organization.
There's another good comment from Ben.
You think he's upset about being made to walk back his comments? Do you mean the Jet thing? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Remember when he came out and took it back right away? Remember, they can't do that right now. Jalen's not speaking again. That's why they're pissed at him. And Jay, appreciate you, brother. You've been here for a while. We appreciate the super chat, man. That's awesome of you.
He's not here? Oh. Come on, T.O.
Yeah, everyone's saying I sold out. They're saying I sold out. What do you want me to? You guys want me to lie? You guys want me to say I'm loving what I'm hearing from Jaylen Hurts?
T.O. Hurts.
Listen, it is June. I started the segment with that. We're talking about June headlines here, but Jaylen Hurts said it. I didn't say it. Don't get mad at me because my opinion doesn't align with yours.
These guys all cry and moan, just like the quarterback that you have in Philly. Cry, bitching. Hey, wrong thing you can do in Philly is moan and cry. Ask Ben Simmons. Hey, dude, tell me how many likes we have here.
Who knows, boy? These people are pissed at
us. They're so
109. We're up to 109.
109, guys. Got to get that number up probably a little bit higher, but we're going to 200. Thank you guys so much. Sills Jr. is crazy. Sills Jr., that's how you're looking at Zander? No. You should hear him in the morning with John.
They're calling me Sills Jr. I love it. I love it.
I heard John for the first time go like this. You think I'm waving my pom-poms? I don't have pom-poms.
I want everybody in the
thing.
chat to practice hearing different opinions. It's okay, everybody. We're talking about football. I promise you it will be okay. You will live. Dan's opinions on the Eagles, my opinions on the Eagles will not change what they do this year. So
Absolutely. What do you think we're trying to do? Be like, try to qualify here for the Olympics and, whatever.
Perez is pissed. Perez says, fuck your likes. All right, Perez. Just like the show, man. Come on. It's the least you can do. This entertainment is free right here.
Hey, I appreciate you very much, Zander. You're absolutely killing it on that show. Don't forget, folks, Birds 365. Also, too, Farzi kicks off our broadcast, and we're going to have such a great year this year. Hopefully, the Eagles have a better year than what we're going to have, because I got a good feeling that, you know what? I think some of the things you hear on the only network in Philadelphia that tells you the truth, I think this is going to be the only place. What'd you have here? Zander has been flipped. He's been flipped to the dark side. Darth Vader Sills.
Listen, I'm an Eagles fan, but there's a lot of stuff that Dan says that is actually true about being greatness in our organization. And a lot of you could take some of that. I'm not trying to, just because you don't agree with it, take it, use it, agree with it or don't, and move on. But Dan is preaching from an outsider's perspective on being a great football team. We have won Super Bowl in 57 years. Guys, we're not that great. Okay? We're not that great. There are things we can do better. When someone tells you it, don't cry about it. It's not our fault we're telling you it.
You're not the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. But we're also not the New England Patriots or the Dallas Cowboys or the Washington Commanders or the New York Giants, who all have more Super Bowls than the Philadelphia Eagles.
And the Rams.
So I think we should push for more. I think we should want to be a better football team. And we should question everything. We should force them to make the right decisions. I don't think that's a problem.
Just wait till old Angie gets on at 5:32, boy. That's going to, oh, man, he going to chomp that thing up. Hey, you're going to think you're eating a Cobb salad at 5:30. Zander, great stuff. We'll catch you tomorrow morning. Birds 365, folks. We really appreciate it. Keep it here, National Football Show.
See, everybody. Maybe you'll like me more tomorrow. We will see.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.